So we had a little bit of a connection glitch there, and I don't know if it was me or it was YouTube, but the whole internet went down. So I'll start over. So yesterday I came down to the watermelon tower and discovered something very magical. Behind a very thick vine, I found a watermelon the size of an apple. How I missed this, I have no idea because it's growing on a home tower and those are much smaller than a flex. So I'm going to spin the camera around and show you, and then we're going to do some pollinating. And I have other things in the room that I want to do too. So let's get going. So I'm going to swivel. That was weird. Okay. So with this makeshift hammock because it's going to get really heavy and it's resting on the a vine or was. And so I went to a local grocery store and I got this netting, and I just used a piece of dowel stick that I had kicking around. So for right now, I think I would rather use a metal hook to secure it to a net pot versus what I have going right now. I think that that might be a little more secure. And everybody say hi to Libby. Libby's must hear something at the door or something. So this is going to continue to grow and it's going to get quite large. And for right now, this will work because I don't want it to, break the stem or break the vine. But yeah, this I found this yesterday. It was so crazy on the tower, like hiding behind a vine. It was pretty impressive, to be honest with you. I moved it and was like, "That's nuts! Like, how did I miss that?" But I missed it, and there it is. So like all night, I was concerned that it was going to continue to grow and get super heavy, and then come down and see it on the floor. So that did not happen, and I'm really pleased. But my little hammock that I created is it's very homespun, but it's the best that I could do for today. But yeah, I want to get rid of the dowel because the dowel is just it's just wobbly. So I think a hook inside this netting, and then I can latch it onto the very back of the net pot or through the net pot. The Dow is just it's going up and down. But I've been pollinating this tower for a little bit now, and I'm like, am I ever going to see a watermelon? And finally, there it is, magically. And then I have one other one that I discovered, but I knew this was happening. So let me swivel and I'll show you. Um, right there. And let me see if I can spin it. There we go, right there. I have a few other ones that are a little bit smaller, but I just couldn't believe how fast that first one grew. So yeah, it was nuts. But I've been pollinating, so I'm going to go ahead and swivel because I've got some pollinating to do, and I'll give you guys a whirl as to how I do it. So I really just look for a male flower that's on the tower, and then bring it up to. There's usually one close by too. So on this stem, the other thing too, look at this vine. It's it's like I don't know how to describe it. It grows and it's very round pattern. It's very thick. Like the stems go all the way around. So I think that's just how I missed this watermelon because it just you got to look inside the vine, and the stems are the vine itself grows. It's like kind of hairy and just thick, and I mean it has a lot of weight to it. So I usually just look for a flower that's nearby where the female is, which is kind of like right. Slow this down just a little more so you can see it right here. And then the other key is this soft brush. Just kind of want to just gently tap the pollen in there. You don't want to jam it. These flowers, they're kind of like the strawberry flowers. They're kind of delicate. I've learned that. So I just kind of dab it. And then sometimes I'll go find a different male flower um, somewhere else and try to grab some pollen and do the same thing. I wish this brush was a different color because obviously the pollen is yellow. So if it was blue, I could see how much pollen was on the end of the brush. Just kind of go around, and then there's all kinds of male and female on this tower, and I don't know how many pollinated watermelons I'm gonna get, but I, I when I saw that thing, I was like, oh my god, I'm scared if that's what's gonna happen on this tower. But I guess I can always pull them off too. I may have to use those extensions that I use for the cucumbers and bring them over and just kind of like wind it a little bit. So I think that's the only female that I can see that I have. The rest were just like males. But there's lots of little ones, and I think I've hit those already. Oh yeah, there's another one that's pollinated. They're just in there, and you got to find them. And I was thinking about moving the tower too, because it's it's in an area where like I'm not over here very much. Like there's another one. You can do that. They're pollinated. So like strawberries, what happens is when the flowers pollinated, instead of being upright like a buttercup, let me see if I can find one. See how this is kind of this is it's like this. It's upright. And then what happens is once it's pollinated, see how it drops? The stem comes down and the fruit just hangs. And that's how you know they're pollinated. Here's one that's not pollinated. So here's a little guy. I can show it into the camera. Whoa, right there. It's still sticking up, and then you can see a little brown on the very, very tip. That's how I know that that one's not pollinated. But here's another example of like, it looks like, how do I describe this vine? It's like Jurassic. It's just like you pull it apart, and it's just solid. So you really got to look inside, like right there. There's just like you got to deadhead it too, because again, the towers don't have a ton of air here, so I gotta make sure that they're. Now I'm going to be looking. I'm going to be in here every day. What's growing that is going to go splat on the floor if I don't build its own little hammock. But I was thinking about that last night. I'm going to come down and find it on the floor. So, oh, I tied the stem. See how it just gets thick? So I tied a piece of string there. So this tower is doing really well. Hi. Um, yeah, so, and then on the very top, let me get out of here so I can show you this too. On the very, very top, my arugula is doing really, really well. That got planted, oh, I don't know, maybe like a week ago or so. And it's doing really well. Tighten that. And of course, this is the tomato tower. And I want to just hit this with the toothbrush. So I'll be right back. I haven't been down here all day. I've just been doing some other things, trying to catch up. But definitely want to do some pollination here. Been trying to do it every day. I actually have the time lapse camera on this. Anytime you see the little yellow flowers, you just want to take your toothbrush and just hit the top of them and release that pollen, and that's how you know that they're pollinated. And then you will start to grow little baby clusters of tomatoes. This tower of tomatoes is about, since I cloned it, about 4 weeks. If you have existing cherry tomato plants on your tower, I strongly suggest you go and you watch Clone It Like Kevin, one of my videos, and you take cuttings that clone, and then you put it right into rock wall, and you put it right back into your tower. Don't even have to wait. And these flowers happened, the first round of flowers, I want to say within 2 weeks. So when I had them, when I first cloned them, I cut off some flowers because I wanted the plant to focus on roots. And now it is chock full of flowers. And like I said, I have a time lapse camera. So if you've seen any of the videos with my time lapse, we'll see one on the tomatoes growing. I've got a lot of flowers right now that are pollinating. There's tons of powder falling out. And it really just takes, a few moments each day to do this. but it ensures that you're going to get beautiful clusters of cherry tomatoes. And I'll show you one of those clusters in a minute after I finish doing this. So this toothbrush is just one of those inexpensive things you buy at a drugstore. Um, it's really, really handy. It works beautifully for tomatoes and peppers. Um, and it just, it's battery operated, and it really just vibrates the pollen where it needs to go. And sure enough, you get lots and lots of cherry tomatoes. So if you've seen my other tower, which I'll show you in a little bit because I'm going to head over there in a minute, I still have lots and lots of flowers. I was going to turn that tower over, but then I decided not to because there was just so much that was on there that still was not ripe yet. So I decided to go ahead and to basically prune it back. So if you're going to, if you're around tomorrow at 11 o'clock, you should really tune into my podcast because I'm going to go over how important it is to trim back your towers. The other thing too, you should tune into, I'm going to be talking about tower lights and the health effects to your eyes, the different kinds of lights. So let me just get up close now that I'm done with this. You can see the little clusters. Again, they're not very many, but the amount of time that they've been, the clones of it on the tower, they have grown. Uh, they're covered. They're little clusters everywhere, and seriously, all you got to do, and that's all the pollination. It's not like the watermelon. Get in there with a toothbrush. This is just a bam, 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 and it's done. So that tower was planted a couple weeks ago. I already have tomatoes on it. It's amazing. I really do feel like my grow room has turned into my grocery store. So here's the other tomato tower, and she's lovely. So I got in here and just really pruned her back, and there's still some pruning I should probably do, but there's, as you can see, there's pockets of this tower, and it creates air. So now that the weather is warmer, I can keep the windows open with a fan to kind of draw in some fresh air. And what it's doing is it's creating new growth. So I have all of these new flowers that are popping out because I trimmed back, told the plant to now, go ahead and grow some suckers for me. And it's growing a whole new section, and it produces the flowers. And they're everywhere now. So I did it. It's probably been 2 weeks now, but the amount of flowers that I have is impressive, and I still have all kinds of fruit everywhere. So I can honestly say I haven't bought a tomato in probably 2 months, and I've actually given some away to people because I don't want them to go bad. And sometimes in the middle of the night, your plants grow really fast, and I can't sometimes find the ones in the center, but they find themselves on the floor splat, and that's kind of a mess to clean up. But again, I've got more tomatoes than I know what to do with. But I guess those are good problems to have, right? Food security. And I love this tomato. I tried growing the bigger varieties on the tower, but they just they take over. So honestly, I can simply say that if you want this particular um, variety, go to my website, towergardeningmadeeasy.com, and go under my favorite seeds. And I put a little best seller next to it. It's a cherry tomato. It's sold on Amazon. And then that link will take you directly to where you need to go to purchase it. But the other hack that you could do, honestly, now that the stores, nursery stores are open and they've got lots of, I need to get that out of there, is you can go ahead and get cherry tomatoes at a nursery. And by doing that, you are saving a lot of time because you literally can take that one plant and take the clones right off of it just by one, stick them in the rock wall, stick them right into your tower, and call it a day. They'll do just fine. This is from one of my big ones that was still in there that when I was cleaning it out. So that's all. Grab some of those nasty roots that are in there. I can honestly say there's always something to be done in this room. Always, never a dull moment. So I'm going to spin you guys around now that. Hi guys. So you can see all the tomatoes, like they're just everywhere. But notice not just the fruit. Notice pockets. Okay, notice all the different pockets that are in. You can see the center of the tower. And that's what's important, because if you've got airflow, then your plant is going to continue to grow. Look at all of those flowers that they grew in the past 2 weeks, because I trimmed it back. It was so tall. And I got up there with a ladder and just said, no, 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 and cut it all down. And it forced the energy back to the base of the plant to continue to grow. So it's really important to do that. The other one that I did, let me spin it around, is my pepper plant. So if you've watched some of my videos recently, this was chock full of peppers that I went ahead and harvested a good amount of them. But you can see on the very bottom down here that I left a bunch to continue to grow. This was just too full, way too full. So I left these to kind of get a little bit bigger, and then I've got some big guys down here. Now the other thing, if you watched my video about taking the nursery plants and putting them soil-based, which is right here, I just haven't had a chance to do these guys yet. But what I did do, and let me get out nice and close so you can see, is one's right there. And a couple leaves I had to pull off, but in my video, what I talk about is that don't worry about it. There's an adjustment period. But what happened this week is that center grew, this whole center, and then down here, there's some new growth. So yes, will this fall off? I'm sure that it will, but the rest of it looks really, really good. So I've got the rest of those to do. It's been, a lot of work. And then I have the pepper plants that are up here that if you watched a long time ago, I did a live where I took store-bought peppers and I germinated them onto a paper towel in a Ziploc bag. Those are these guys. And now these are the covers because they don't have that canopy, and neither do these guys. So what happens is the rock wall that they're in is susceptible to algae, and these covers block it. So if algae is on your rock wall, what's going to happen is it's going to block the uptake of your nutrients. So I'm just keeping an eye on that because they won't grow if they're all green. So they should probably be a little bit tighter in there. There we go. Just don't want the water to grab that and be. So I guess I'll leave it like that because I just don't want the water splashing, catching that back and then coming forward. But yeah, so the pepper tower is coming. I just need to finish out those other seedlings. Now, the other thing I want to do is I've got some zucchini seedlings. I'm going to go ahead and go get those. I need to get them in this tower. They're ready to go in. And so, stay with me. And we can do that now. So this tower was the strawberry tower. And I cleaned it all out in the basin too. And I just put the nutrients in with the pH. Actually, I think I'm going to swivel the camera around so I can see you guys. There we go. A little bit taller. Okay, I'm going to go grab those seedlings. So this zucchini that I have, it's round. It's not like your typical zucchini. It's more, it looks like apples. And these should have been planted a long time ago. They've been hanging over here in the nursery. Again, just too busy. And I've got some lettuce too I'm going to bring over and plant. So with 9 towers, it's a commitment. But I'm committed to the channel, committed to the community. And we're going to go ahead. I'm probably sure I'm going to need some of those clips. And then I'm going to go get some rock wall too. So we're probably going to need that. So again, these were you know, I'll even show you guys the picture of the packet in case you're interested in these. They're from Botanical Interest. And again, it's a very unique squash. It's round. Melons, cucumbers. Was it this? No. I know I have it. It's round. Melon, no. Melon. Maybe I used it all and tossed them. Anyway, it's zucchini. Round zucchini. From Botanical Interest. I'll save the packet next time. What do we need? Tools. Let's get some tools. I just finished a video that I'll put up a little bit later with the bean tower. So the bean tower is that blue lake, and there was tons of beans. So I just went ahead and harvested a bunch of them and did the cooking portion of a recipe that is called rotisserie chicken stir fry. So it's super yummy, super healthy. I'll post that hopefully by tonight. I'll have that up and running for you guys. But let's go ahead and get these in here because they are way overdue to get in the tower. They're so old, meaning in the nursery that they already have their third and fourth leaf. So we will get them in here, and they've got nice roots. Some are really leggy, so I have a feeling I'm going to have to either cut them back. I mean, look at that root system, or just put some rock wall to kind of support them. Yeah, so they're just going to come forward. So I'm going to have to MacGyver it and give them a little bit of support. And that's okay. My bad. They're floppy. Not happy. So we'll get them in here. So I'm just taking little pieces of rock wall and giving them a little more base so that the roots will grow into the net pot, into the center, and then down into the basin and drink. So a little more on the front. And they'll get there. But I should have put these in about a week ago, but I just needed to get on here and do it. All right. But yeah, I don't think I've planted zucchini that has this much foliage. It's usually just the two leaves. But it will be fine. It's a little leggy. Curious to see what they look like, though. I've never seen round zucchini, but it's always a first. And you can always use these clips too, which I'm gonna, I think, have to do. Again, on my website, they're little white clips. Go under the nursery supplies, and they attach to the tower, and you can just stick them, and you can recycle them too. So I'm not going to clip these. They clip like the old, barrettes, or maybe I will. I think that one needs to go up. And then you can pry them off too to make them go up a little bit further, which is what I'm going to do because they're so tall. And then just give them that little support that they need. In a day or two, they'll bump up and actually maybe be too tall. Somewhere in the middle. How about that? There we go. Just give them a little bit of neck support. That guy's okay. And then you can just always remove them, recycle them. It doesn't hurt them. You just kind of pop them in there one at a time. I did this with the beans because the beans inevitably, they grow really fast. Um, and they just literally like flop over. So it happens. That one's okay. He'll be okay. But you can see, like, look at the root system on this guy. Just so developed. So we'll bop him up there with a little rock wall. And a little. Yeah, we'll give him a little support. I think these come like in a bag of 100. So they're very cost effective. And for the most part, you can shift them, recycle them. There we go. And again, see how I'm not closing it? I'm just leaving it alone. I'll bring you guys up a little bit closer. I'm just right there. I'm not closing it. So that when they want to get nice and tall, they can. All right, so let's keep moving. Okay. Oh, she's a beauty. I'll put them down here. And I think I put 2 seeds in here per rock wall when I was doing them. You know, just to kind of double the chances. I'm still blown away at that watermelon. So crazy how that happened. It was kind of like one of those rubbing your eye moments. You're like, is that really a watermelon? It was really a watermelon. So he's going to fall forward. So I'm going to just, there we go. I'll put a little piece of rock wall there. Kind of fill in the gap a little bit. If any of you caught my shopping expedition at Broomfield, that was so much fun. My goodness, the amount of walking that I did that day, and it was so hot. So I'm going to have to fasten that one because that just popped out on its own. And that's okay. We'll unfasten it in a week or so. So much walking. I was so hot. It's such a different temperature there than it is in Newport right now. Newport, obviously, it's on the water, so it's a little bit cooler. Got some good root systems there, so we'll make sure we wrap it around like spaghetti. Sticker in there. I'm working on a video right now about rockwall and the different kinds that is out there, and the different purposes as to when to use, what to use, when. There's certain rockwall that's really good. I mean, they're all relatively good, but some is a little more fibrous than others, and like the more grain seeds like strawberries or celery, they look like grains of sand. That's what I mean. There's certain rock wall that works better for them than some other kinds that are a little more coarse. And those guys, you know, are meant for more like big seeds. that, can really just penetrate anything. I'm going to close that one because that's still a little top heavy. So I'll be finishing up that one in a little bit. But I've just discovered the two kinds that I use. They really are for different seeds, and I don't really think people take that into effect when they're planting things out. Like this is a more hard condensed rock ball that I use because zucchini it's a big seed, and it's pretty rugged and it grows real fast, so it'll penetrate anything and all. But there, like I said, there's some seeds like strawberry seeds or celery seeds that don't do well in that particular. So that'll be coming out real soon. I have the layout done, but just need to sit down and talk through it, I guess, would be the way to go about it. Yeah, these guys are, so this is my punishment for leaving them in the nursery too long, because now I'm going to have to drape them all with these clips. But I'm glad I have the clips because without it, they would just be like, but that's all right. I'll stick them in there. They'll be happy. I kept looking at these going, oh, Sherry, you got to get them into the tower. And I just go, oh, not today, not today. Too much going on. Hope you guys are having a nice day wherever you are. So beautiful. That one's got its third leaf. Oh, I don't think I have to pin that one. I think I could probably leave that one alone. What do we got? What do we got? I love a fresh tower like this when it's planted out and everything is new. It's just like the first week to watch it, even though there's like no flowers, not a lot of growth, but you just see it like from start to finish, and how fast these guys go. It's Mother Nature at its best. But I'll tell you, I really like these time lapse videos. So you got to go check them out. They're obviously they're in YouTube. They're on the website too. You can just kind of click away. I think I have them in a play. What do they call that? A play album or something on YouTube. But they're really easy to make, and it's just watching Mother Nature do its thing. It's really impressive. Let's clip that one. This tower is so nice and clean since I cleaned it, was it last week? 2 weeks ago? See how wonderful these clips are? I may have to fasten them in. It's like a seatbelt almost. The pollen, it's spring here, so the pollen's really, really thick. I don't know how you guys are doing, but I'm struggling a little bit. When I went to Brimfield, the beginning of that video, I was like, oh, sounded like I had a cold. And a clip. I'm gonna need more Rockwell. Be right back. Do we have any that's open? Is the question. I think I might just sacrifice a few of these guys. Perfect timing. The water turns on. Love it. It's a beautiful sound on a brand new tower. I got one back here. And a clip. My punishment. Oh, the lights are going to kill me. All right, so I'll switch sides. I think we got a few more over here. And then I've got some lettuce that we're going to put on top. I want to say that that's butter. It's been a while since I planted it, so sometimes I come down here really fast to plant something out, and then I forgot what it is. Like, what is that? But I've got, let's see, I've got some mature arugula on top of the zucchini tower, more arugula on top of the watermelon that's kind of coming in. I'm out of the butter, so this I'll have to wait for that. But you see how I rotate? Always put something new in as something is mature, because you want to have your grocery store be filled all the time. Like I said, I don't think I've purchased a tomato in, it's got to be 2 months now, easily. Same thing with the zucchini and the summer squash. I've had plenty of that between the two towers, although I've got one tower that's, it's really kind of on its last leg. It's got a couple things on there that are doing okay. I think that's the next tower that's going to have to be pulled apart and cleaned. It's just telling me it's time. It's time. Okay, more rock off. But the one that I cleaned out on Saturday, I keep looking at it, and maybe it's just my eyes, but the leaves already seem to be doing really well. I'm really glad that I pulled it apart. As hard as it was to clean it and put it, it needed to be done. And I think everybody's much happier, although I was really sad about losing some of my celery. That was a bummer. But I had celery growing. It's just when it's one of those seeds, it's really small. So it takes forever for it to grow in the nursery, and then to really get a root system that's viable, that will, stand the tower. Look, that's the problem. But I will say, if you have the patience and you wait it out and you grow it, this celery, and again, you can go to my under my favorite seeds in the website. That's the batch that I'm using. It's just a generic seed, but this variety, I think it's called Survivor or something. It's so flavorful. Like, even my husband, I've said this a few times now, he's not a big celery person, but he's like, it just is so fresh. It smells delicious. And so I use it all the time. I use it in salads. Chop up an egg and just throw it in there with a little bit of mustard. It's really delicious. So we're getting there. Um, it's really yummy and so healthy for you too. Um, if you love vegetables, go. And then we've got one more. I'll put that one down here. Whoa, that's a long root to wrap it around. Go there. I'm going to leave those bottom ports alone. So what happens with these big leaves, seeds, they grow these gigantic leaves, and they end up canopying the bottom ones. So I've learned if I'm going to do a tower out with zucchini, summer squash, melon, maybe not so much the melon because that vine's very interesting. They shadow the bottom, so you end up losing them. So what I'll do is I'll just put covers on the bottom so that algae doesn't grow into the water. But the it's not worth it to waste it because they're not going to grow. They're not going to get the light. It'd be rare. And then let's clip them. So the bottom four, and there's one back here too that won't get planted out. That's okay. That's plenty. And then pop these in the clips. Oh, they don't need to be fastened. Good. Making a mess. All right, so let's pop the lettuce in. So the lettuce I've learned never to do every single one. And the reason is once they start to grow, they get like a head of lettuce. So I try to do every other. I've got 4 sections here. On the homes, there's only 2. So I can kind of every other and then stagger them so that when they grow, I generally don't do the cut and come again method. So if you watch that video that I did, it's called cut and come again. If you only have one tower, maybe even 2, you don't have a lot of area for greens, you use that method and you just clip on the outside and leave the crown alone. And they'll continue to grow the leaves basically. But what I do is I let them get to a certain point and I will go ahead and just pull the whole head of lettuce out and then trim the bottom, like the whole little rock wall. And I'll use that for a salad because I have so many towers that I can continuously rotate my lettuce. I will say though, my favorite so far is the arugula. It's really, really yummy. And I use that a lot with some of the cherry tomatoes, and I'll add like a balsamic vinaigrette dressing with just a splash of Parmesan cheese. And sometimes if I have cucumbers, I'll cut one of those, or even celery, mix it together and serve it with, a protein, or if you're a vegetarian, can serve it with fish or something. But it's so flavorful. Like when you pull that out of the tower and you cut it and you go to make your salad, the whole kitchen smells like this beautiful, beautiful arugula. Again, when you grow your own vegetables, folks, it's not like your typical grocery store. I mean, they actually have a different taste. And I remember doing one of my first podcasts about this, where someone said, I can't get my kids to eat vegetables. I'm like, start growing your own, whether it's in a container or, or on a tower, because they inevitably will grow to like it. Maybe they'll come down and they'll help you on the tower, and you have celery and they're hungry. I do it all the time, where I literally just cut a stalk of celery and just started eating it while I'm doing my work. I don't do that so much with the tomatoes, but the celery all the time. It's a good thing I don't keep a jar of peanut butter down here, because I would be like celery and peanut butter all the time. All right, so again, back to that rock wall. So the lettuce is another one where I use a specific kind of rock wall for this, because the seeds are more like grain-like. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to skip this bottom row. because inevitably these are going to grow out. So I'm going to start here and just pop them in. It's a good thing I'm putting these guys in because they needed water. Some of them are a little dry. So remember, I just go every other, and they're so cute. They're so look how perfectly round that is. It's so cute. I love it. If you guys are here in the States, I hope you guys have some really good plans for Memorial Day coming up. I'm excited to hopefully the weather will hold out, although we're supposed to get some crazy storm on Thursday. Go for a bike ride, maybe a little barbecue. If you saw my video the other day about not wanting to be down here, it's the truth. It's I'm in Newport, so it's really is boating, beaches, and barbecues here, and biking. I've got a pedal bike and I have a scooter that we zoom around because the traffic is so bad. Now, everybody knows that when you guys put these in, even though these root systems are relatively developed, I'm using half strength for my minerals and making sure the pH for zucchini is 6.0. So it's right in that range. So you want to just check that. If you're looking for that form, again, that's on my website, towergardenmadeeasy.com. Go under the nutrients. It's a free PDF that you can just download. Super, super easy. It's your new Bible. Get your meters. It really is the best way. You can top off your towers anytime you want and don't have to worry about doing the math out of a 5-gallon bucket. That would be my advice. You don't have to do that anymore because you just stick that meter in there. If you're doing seedlings, obviously you want to do a little bit less, not the full strength. And as soon as they start to flower or bring up some fruit, then you want to go ahead and add more. But you should be looking at your tower's pH and the nutrients. Nutrients at least once a week and the pH at least twice. And those meters are also available on my website. You're not purchasing them from me. I'm just providing you a link to go to Amazon to purchase the ones that I use. And can happily say that I like them and they work well. I use the Tower Garden nutrients. I don't really deviate from that. I know a few people have asked me questions about that, and I honestly can't answer that because I haven't deviated. I just use the Tower Gardens A and B, and I use their the pH up and down. And I've kind of gone every other on this guy. So I've got a few more, like I have 3 more, and I've gone every other in terms of around. So, obviously I'm going to just have to double up just a smidge. So I'll put them on the upper. Crowd just a little bit. That's the last one up here. I'll do that one down here. Maybe there. But this lettuce too is really delicious. So a little bit of cleanup here. Root water. I need to get my mushrooms tent going again. I took a break on the mushrooms just because I had so many. And I'm just going to clean this off a little bit. I had bags and bags in my fridge, so I just took a little break. But now I actually had to buy some mushrooms for the stir fry that I made the other night. That's going to be in tonight's video that I'll post. From using the green beans, you definitely want to check that out. It's a rotisserie fried chicken, no, excuse me, rotisserie fried rice recipe that's super, super healthy. And I'm going to link that recipe. It's a PDF and it'll be right in the description. You can just grab it, try it. Super, super yummy. And let's adjust these lights. So we got this tower planted out today. It looks really great. We just need everybody to stand up nice and tall. And I picked some green beans. This is my second harvest off the green bean tower. Those are the blue lake. And let me show you guys what's on this tower, which this is the one that has to be taken apart after I harvest the zucchini that's growing right there. It's huge, like huge, really big. And then I did a different kind of summer squash. They're called yellow long necks. And I got one growing right there. They're pretty good size, I have to say. But this tower, I just think hasn't been cleaned yet, like since I put it together back in December. And I've got definitely some pH issues going on with it, and I just think it's old, meaning like the inside just needs to be clean. So you can see I've got some yellowing leaves right here. I can continue to pick them off, but inevitably that was what was happening with the cucumber tower. And you know, I've got a few back here that are growing that actually look pretty good. I might try to keep it going a little bit longer, but it's definitely hard to keep fighting with the pH because you end up going through a ton of either pH up or pH down. And for this one, I'm gonna fill up the water one more time and then try to set it and see what happens. But I just think when